Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, we've got some rain. Looks like it's coming into our area today. We've already seen a few little very light raindrops fall to the ground this morning, but apparently more is coming in. It looks nice and cloudy, and it has that look and that feel and that smell of rain. So I think that's what we might get today. Crazy weekend. Here's the thing, and I know that some of you just have grown to despise me because I point out things that aren't favorable to Donald Trump. I've been called a lot of names, and that doesn't bother me at all. There's no hatred, there's no derangement syndrome. I view all politicians the same way. I don't care what political party they are. I don't care what sponsorship they wear on their uniform. They're all the same to me. And I think it's good that we point out because they're all playing on the same team in the end. And they're, all part of a plan to lead us further down, like I said yesterday, to separate us from the Father. I know you're saying, oh, man, you're taking this to the extreme. That's too much. Sometimes the truth hurts, folks. So it has nothing to do with hatred or anything like that. I said the same thing about the last president, and I'll say probably the same thing of the next president. A lot of things were done over the weekend. A lot of things came out in the news over the weekend. And some people are just, crazy excited about it because they're basically following the news bites, the talking points. But the reality is it's not quite as good as what it was said in the talking points. So I want to point that out for real quick, and then we'll move on. This whole trade deal with China, came out that after just 2 days of negotiations, a trade deal was met with China, and everyone is excited. Everyone's excited this morning about that. Oh my goodness, it's all over. That's not true. There's not been a trade deal met with China. There has basically been an agreement of a ceasefire. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. There's a 90-day cooling off period of tariffs. Although they're not going completely away, there'll be a reduction of tariffs. There still will be, and they still will be higher than it was on Liberation Day, but definitely cooling off. So Americans will pay 30% taxes on Chinese goods coming in, and Chinese will pay 10% tax on goods coming from America being imported into China. This does not address the blockades of paperwork, not actual like physical blockades, but certain things that China has in place to prevent certain items from America coming to China. This doesn't address basically stealing of intellectual property, anything like that. It's a cooling off period for 90 days. Goods coming from China into the United States will most likely resume, but they probably will be a higher price. Up until now, most all of the industry leaders and financial gurus have said anything over a 10% tariff, most companies cannot absorb that. And so they will pass that on to the consumer. So at a 30% tariff on Chinese goods, it's most likely, this is my, I guess I'll say, prediction. We'll start to see shipments ramp back up coming from China. Remember the last several days I've talked about how there's just not a lot coming out of China. That'll probably pick back up, but you will see a higher price in the store. It may not be a 30% higher price, but you're most likely going to see a higher price in stores and online shopping. There could possibly, because the ships, it takes 2-3 weeks for a cargo vessel to get from China to the United States, maybe longer depending on where it's going. There could be a period, because I talked about this quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, that the supply chain will be greatly reduced. I'm not saying like store shelves will be bare, but there's a gap there And we're going to see that gap very possibly in some areas. And it may not necessarily be store shelves. It just may be maybe a lot of online stuff. You try to order something online and it's not available for a few weeks. That's possible. But in the end, prices are going to go up on all that stuff. It's very likely. I mean, I've been a business owner and I've been a business manager, and very few companies can easily absorb a 30% increase in their cost of doing business when it comes to the materials or the goods. They can't do it. They're going to have to raise the prices. Most businesses will. So you could see an increase in prices. The other big thing in the news was this prescription drug deal. The president announced that prescription drug prices are going to drop by, 60, 80%. It's the biggest thing since sliced bread. Getting into that, it's not quite that simple. Number one, the president cannot, through an executive order, lower the prices of anything. Okay, if the United States had a presidency could do that, then we're no longer a free nation. We're a communist nation. That's price setting. And it's so strange that conservative patriots are now cheering for things that have never, ever been a conservative Republican thing. They want the free market, to set the prices and all this kind of stuff. And I understand we could go way into the weeds that the pharmaceutical industry, how evil they are. I agree with that. How much they're supported by government and lawyers and lobbyists and everything. And so it's not a free market anyways. I agree with that. But the only way for him to actually lower the prices is to do price setting, which is not legal in the United States, technically. So what this is, it's actually focused on Medicare. It will allow Medicare to negotiate prices. It will put price limits on what Medicare can and will pay, and a few other welfare programs that the United States federal national government supports. Will it lower prices for everyone on everything? Highly, highly, highly unlikely. There most likely will be a reduction in prices on some things, specifically Medicare Part D and stuff. He tried this back when he was president before, and it worked a little bit. And so there definitely could be a reduction in prices for drugs, especially for people on those programs. But to say that across the board it's going to lower drug prices, it's unlikely. I mean, there could be other things to pressure pharmaceutical companies, but and there could just be, well, if we're lowering it here, we have to lower. There's a lot of uncertainties, but most experts are saying that it's not going to lower drug prices for everyone on everything, okay? Because there's no authority in the executive branch for that. And if we did, we'd have a communist dictatorship. So while there's good news, the hype, like what is common with the Trump administration, is always much, much greater than the actual truth. So just wanted to point that out. I'm a stickler on truth. I think I was just having this conversation last night with my children that, when you leave this world, aside from the fact of where you go after here, okay? I'm talking about in this world, on this planet. When you leave this world, the only thing you really take with you, the only thing that you really leave here is your name, your character, who you are as a person. I mean, sure, you could say, well, this person was wealthy, or this person was a criminal, or this person did this or that, had this or that. But in the end, the only thing that people truly remember you for or really care about is who you are as a person, your name, your character. And in your character, we teach our children, your character is basically what you do when no one is watching. How you react and behave when no one is watching. That's your character. And your character is based on honesty. Are you a liar? Are you deceitful? How you treat other people. And as much as some of you absolutely will hate me for this, this president, just like many before him, on any standard of morality, shows to have poor moral character. Maybe he's good at business. Maybe he's a ruthless leader. But moral character, I mean, if you've forgotten, go back in the 80s and 90s and stuff, all about his past. And I know someone's going to say, I don't need that as a president. I just need someone that'll make us wealthy and that'll make us powerful again. Actually, we do. You don't want a leader that is immoral, okay? You don't want a leader that doesn't have the best character, that it has an issue with telling the truth, or doing necessarily what's right. That's just my opinion. You can hate me. You can unsubscribe. You can say all kinds of in the comments. I don't care. I have very strict standards in my life and how I view things. And I don't care if it's Joe Biden, if it's Kamala Harris, if it's Donald Trump, if it's Ron Paul. I don't care who it is. If I see that they, have poor character, aren't truthful, deceitful, I'm going to point it out. And no one's holding a gun to your head to watch this channel. So there. Anyways, the other weird thing that's still going on is this whole Israeli thing. I still haven't come up with a definitive opinion on this. My gut wants to tell me that this is all a big game, that this is a play that's being played out for some purpose to entrap Iran or something like that. But there is more and more evidence to indicate that it may actually be the real deal, where there's a decoupling of the United States and Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu over the weekend stated pretty much that there is a decoupling going on and that Israel will have to start looking at outside sources for its own security needs outside of the United States. Trump is leaving today to go to the Middle East. The Trump administration negotiated a type of ceasefire with the Houthis in Yemen, that they will no longer attack the United States and United States interests. And then he also has worked out or is working out something with Gaza, with Hamas. They're releasing an American, and America will push for Israel to leave Hamas alone at some point, a ceasefire. Of course, Israel is saying no to that. Trump personally accepted a $400 million luxury jet from Qatar, and is not requiring or demanding that Saudi Arabia normalize relations with Israel. So it looks like a huge shift in America. And this, you have to understand, if this in fact is true, if all this stuff is really happening, I don't doubt that it's true as it's happening, but I mean happening for these reasons, and it's not some cover. This will be the greatest single shift in American policies probably since the inception of this country, and in such a rapid, unpredicted, no one saw it coming way. Like within a week, it was just out of nowhere, that we are now going to be more closely aligned with many Middle Eastern countries and separating ourselves from Israel. I know that many of you support that. I have no opposition to that, but I will tell you that it's starting to look very biblical. Now, you can totally disagree with me if you want. A lot of people do. Most people do. But it looks very biblical. Whether you like the Israeli government or not, to me, that's irrelevant. It's starting to look very biblical. And I think that's a major, major deal. Still trying to work out some kind of, or Ukraine and Russia are claiming to possibly come to the table soon. Germany, Europe, everyone is still making threats that Russia will absolutely come to the table and agree to a ceasefire and peace negotiations, or there will be, more, all kinds of stuff against Russia. So that's happening too. There's a lot going on. China, just as a side note, China is claiming that this little thing with trade deal much more favors them than it does us. And right now, on the surface, from what we know, that looks to be true. What'll be interesting to see is once it's all said and done, will there be a big increase in the deal for us, or will it be fairly close to what we had before? Which will make you wonder, well, what was all this for anyways? Smoke, mirrors, distraction. I don't know. I can tell you this. Believe it or not, the world it's all over the place. And simply because of that fact that we don't know what's going on next. We don't know exactly where this is headed. I mean, we have a good idea. We have a good idea that all of the Great Reset, the New World Order stuff, the switching to advanced technology to capture your bio data and your DNA and your thoughts and everything. I mean, this Maha, you dig into that stuff with RFK Jr. and this new whatever her name is, that's the Surgeon General, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I know it sounds good on surface. It looks good. It looks good. It looks all natural and naturopathic and everything. You dig into what these people are really doing, what they really believe. Behind the scenes, what little we can see, it looks like we're moving closer and closer to a beast system. Increased digital presence, digital currency, digital identification, digital health, world leader in AI, brain chips, all of it. It looks that way. And even because of, the Bible says even the appearance of evil. It has the appearance of evil when you dig deep and you get past all the fluff. And just because of that, we need to be awake and get ready, because things are happening and they could shift and change at a moment's notice. And we need to be ready for that. Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.